question. Can I ask you to raise your hand if, despite the fact you've had a few years professional experience now, you're still not 100% sure what it is that you want to do? Okay, if you have a look around, that's quite a big chunk of you. So, I didn't know either. I had absolutely no idea. What I want to do is spend just a few minutes telling you a little bit about what I did about that problem. So I worked really hard at university. I studied history, and I was very lucky that straight out of uni I managed to get a grad job working in the civil service. It was really hard to get onto, so I was really proud of myself for getting there. It was well paid, there was a clear path of progression, and obviously, most importantly, my parents were very proud of me. On paper, sounds perfect. And I stuck at it. I was there for a year, but that slowly, that sort of creeping realisation that slowly and surely this is really not right for me, just wouldn't go away. But that left me with a question. Well, if this isn't for me, what on earth is? I think what we do can sometimes become part of our identity. When we say, hello, my name is, we also usually follow that up with, and I do X. And my career had already become a big part of who I was and how I identified. And so I was going through a bit of an identity crisis by not knowing what it was that I wanted to do. So one night, after a year of going through this, I sat down and decided to write a list of all the different careers I had ever wanted to try, everything from when I was a little kid all the way up to as I was now as an adult. And I came up with a list of 25 different jobs. And they were really, really varied and really diverse. Some of them were a bit more traditional. There was things like working in the police, there was marketing, journalism and teaching. Some of them were a little bit less mainstream, but still fairly common. So there was working for charities, publishing, there was photography and TV production. And then there was some slightly more obscure things, a little bit more left field. So there was archaeology, blogging, being a movie extra, and a landscape gardener. In the end, I made the decision to quit my job and to try all of them in a year before my 25th birthday, which is a bit of a weird thing to come out and say that you did. But that is exactly what I went and did. I quit my job, and I set up a blog, I set up a website, and I went off to try 25 different jobs through work experience placements. And I want to tell you a little bit about one of them that taught me the most, I think. And this one, bizarrely, I got through Twitter. I knew absolutely no farmers at all. I live in central London. Nobody farms. So I put out a tweet saying, is there any farmer that might want some help? For a couple of weeks, and expected to hear nothing back. Within 2 hours, an alpaca farmer from Cornwall got in touch and said, yes, I would love you to come and work on my alpaca farm. And this was in September, so the weather was still really quite nice. So I decided if I come down in the next few weeks, I might be able to get a bit of a tan as well, maybe? She said no. She said, you have to come in January, because if you like farming, in January, you are meant to be a farmer. It's quite good logic. It was such good logic, in fact, that I couldn't disagree with her, and I had to say yes. So 4 months later, I got in my car, drove down to Cornwall. My signal and my phone data went down and down and down until there was a little X. I arrived in the middle of the night, stepped immediately into a big puddle of mud, and asked, what on earth have I got myself into? So the next morning, it was lovely outside. It was a beautiful, crisp winter's day. And I got out, put like 5 jumpers on, and went out to help the farmer. And the first half of the day was exactly as I dreamed it was. It was helping with the lambs, doing animal husbandry, working with the alpacas, and it was fantastic. But when we sat down to lunch, what the farmer turned around and said to me was, this is less than half of what I do. To be a farmer in the 21st century and to earn money, you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to have a huge number of business skills. So what she did for just one line of her business was taking her alpacas, she sheared them, turned the wool into yarn. The yarn was then made into high-end luxury children's wear that she sold to the likes of Harrods. And she managed every single step in that process, from helping alpacas give birth to negotiating with Harrods. Just think about that for a sec, about all those different skills that you need to be a farmer. And this was one of the most important lessons that I learned in this year, was that we make a huge number of assumptions and we have a huge number of preconceptions about what certain jobs are like. Some we glamorise and some we assume are definitely not for us. But one of the most important things that I learned was that by going and seeing for myself, by learning through doing, I completely shattered all of those preconceptions and assumptions that I had about so many of these different jobs. One of the other big things that I learned that I wanted to share with you today was the knowledge that I didn't just have to choose one. When I went into the project, I assumed that I would find one job, and at the end of it, that is what I would go off and do. That is not what happened at all. By going through so many different jobs, what I realised was that I wanted what's called a portfolio career. It's the idea of having multiple jobs at the same time through part-time, freelance and contract work. So it's like side gigs but on steroids, basically. And this is an increasingly popular trend, and it's been shown that it will make us more flexible, more adaptable, we'll be able to learn quicker, and we'll be more resilient for the future to come. It's about applying one skill set across multiple industries and showing that you can be a wide achiever rather than a high achiever. So to tell you a little bit about what I did now, I finished the project just over a year ago, and I now work as an author. My first book came out last week. It's called The Radical Sabbatical. And the screen's just gone off. There we go. And I also work as a speaker, going into schools, universities, and to businesses and events like this. And I'm also an entrepreneur. So instead of choosing one of those jobs that I set out to do, I ended up turning the entire concept into a business to help other young people go through their quarter-life crisis, particularly for millennials like yourself.